guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Beth and I am the bookworm trait. So in this video today I am going to be talking about my 5-star predictions for 2020. I have split these 5-star predictions into two categories. I have 5-star predictions that are either a continuation of a series that I've already read or are from an author that I am familiar with. And then I have 5-star predictions from new to me authors. What I plan to do, is vlog me reading these books, and towards the end of next year, once I've read all of them, I will release 2 videos discussing whether these 5-star predictions were actually correct. Whether that actually happens or not, I don't know. I don't want to make any promises, but that is the goal. So we'll start off with my most anticipated book, which I believe comes out on the 4th of January, so I really don't have very long to wait. And that is The Night Circus. It's not The Night Circus. It's The Night Country by Melissa Albert. This is the sequel to The Hazelwood, which I read last year and was one of my most surprising reads of the year. I gave this book, I think I gave it like 3, maybe 4 stars the first time, well, the only time I read it. But I think about this book all the time, like literally. This book has come to have a very deep place in my heart. Now, I obviously can't discuss what The Night Country is going to be about because it would be spoilers for The Hazelwood. So I'll tell you what The Hazelwood is about instead. So The Hazelwood is about a girl called Alice Proserpine, and her mother is the daughter of a very infamous novelist who published a collection of dark fairy tales which have all been destroyed. Now, Alice and her mother have been kind of on the run for as long as Alice can remember, because her mother says that they are followed by some kind of curse, and wherever they stay bad things happen, so they try not to stay somewhere too long. But after Alice's grandmother dies, the curse is lifted and Alice and her mother are residing in New York City. Sadly, the curse catches up with them and it seems like there's something more to the fairy tales than Alice first thought. Yeah, guys, I just cannot tell you how good this book is. If you like dark fairy tale vibes, this book is perfect for you. I cannot wait to see where we go in the next book, because The Hazelwood could be read as a standalone book. The story is completely wrapped up by the end of it, and I believe we have some new characters and kind of new issues in the next book. So the next book I am going to talk about is Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. J. Kristoff is one of my favourite authors. I love the Nevernight series. I really like the Illuminate series as well. But I have a bit of like a love-hate relationship with J's writing, and the reason is I love really, really gritty dark fantasy, and that's what J writes, but he just doesn't take it far enough for me. So we'll see if Empire of the Vampire is going to be the one that gets a 5-star for the whole series, because Nevernight was 5-star, God's Grave was 5-star, Dark Dawn was like a 3-star for me. So Empire of the Vampire is about a empire ruled by vampires. It is set in a world where vampires are now in power, and there is a small sect of people called, I think, the Silver Saints, who are tasked with trying to eradicate them. Now, the Silver Saints haven't done a great job, and I believe this story follows the last Silver Saint, Gabriel, who has been imprisoned for killing the King of the Vampires. And Gabriel is telling his life story in this book. That sounds perfect. That sounds perfect for me. I also just read that it is illustrated, which I am so here for. So 5-star prediction number 2, Empire of the Vampire. So the next book that I am going to talk about is probably not a surprise to anybody. It is House of, I forgot what it's called immediately, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. Disclaimer here, I might not actually enjoy this book because I have a very love-hate relationship with paranormal romance, and most of the time it verges on hate. There are very few paranormal romances that I actually enjoy because I feel like the world building often suffers if the fantasy is too romance heavy. But in theory, I love romance and I love fantasy, so I should love paranormal romance. I enjoyed the ACOTAR series. Personally, I liked all 3 of the books. I didn't like A Court of Frost and Starlight. That, in my opinion, doesn't count as a book. So I am hoping that I will therefore enjoy House of Blood and Earth and Blood. But then I didn't enjoy Throne of Glass series and I DNF'd that series. So I think it's going to be 5-star. I would probably lean more towards a 5-star than like a 3-star. But we will have to see. In this book, we follow 2 characters, Bryce, who's a girl, and Hunt, who's a man. Bryce is half fae and Hunt is a fallen angel. And Bryce's friend has been murdered by a demon. Now, Bryce believes that this demon has been caught, but the murders are continuing, and so she enlists the help of Hunt to help her find this demon that is killing people. But obviously there's going to be some romance between Bryce and Hunt, and yeah, I think it's going to be good, so I'm really looking forward to that one too. So the next book that I have on my list is Hollowpox, and this is the 3rd book in the Morrigan Crow series. The Morrigan Crow series is probably my favourite middle grade series. I don't read a huge amount of middle grade, and the middle grade that I do read, I often struggle with it. I kind of lose interest, but I love this series. I loved Nevermore. I thought Wondersmith was even better, and I gave both of those 5 stars, so I'm hoping that Hollowpox is going to be the same. Now, like with The Night Country, I obviously can't talk to you about what actually happens in Hollowpox, but to give you an overview for the series, Morrigan Crow is a girl who is a cursed child. She is due to die on her 11th birthday, and because she's a cursed child, everything bad that happens is some way related to her. So she doesn't have a very nice childhood. Now, on her 11th birthday, she is visited by a man called Jupiter North, I think his name is, and Jupiter whisks her off to the magical world of Nevermore, where she begins to try out for a place in the something or other academy. I don't remember what the academy is called, but it's a magical school. I would highly recommend the audiobooks as well for this series. So yeah, I think Hollowpox is going to easily be a 5-star read for me. And the last book in my list of 5-star predictions from authors I've already read or continuations in series is Come Tumbling Down by Shauna Maguire. Again, being a continuation in a series, I can't dive into what's going to happen in this book. Some of these books can kind of be discussed as standalones, but this is based on a continuation of something that happens in the first book. Now, this is a very wary 5-star prediction. I have given some of the books in this series 5 stars. I've given some of the books in this series 2 stars. So, could go either way. The reason that I think this will be 5 stars is because we are following 2 characters from the first book, which are Jack and Jill, and we are going to their portal world of the Moors. I enjoyed those characters, I enjoyed that portal world, so I hope that means it's a 5-star read for me. But in this series, I tend to prefer the stories that are based on the characters' backstories. Those are the ones that I enjoy the most. So we'll see with this one. To give you a little bit of information on this series, and I'm not actually going to describe what happens in the first book, but this series focuses on characters who attend this school called Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, and it is a school where children who have gone to Portal Worlds and then come back can go to kind of be rehabilitated or hopefully get back to their Portal Worlds. The series is told in two ways. We have kind of present day action books where there is a plot. We also have characters' backstories, which are kind of a discussion of that character's life, what led them to have to go to this Portal World, and how they ended up being kicked out of the Portal World as well. So I love those stories. I love Portal Fantasy, so I'm hoping this is going to be a 5-star read, but we'll have to see. So I'm now going to move on to discussing books that are new to me authors that are coming out in 2020 that I think I am going to rate 5 stars. The first book that I want to talk about is called Quality Land. Now technically this book is not being released in 2020, it is already out, but it is being translated from German into English and then being released in an English format in 2020. Now I am doing this from memory, so forgive me if this is not exactly what the plot of this book is, but I believe Quality Land is kind of set in a dystopian style, well technically utopian style world, where computer algorithms know exactly what it is that we want and what it is that we need, and it will pick a job for you and it will send you like your food, like a film to watch, a book to read. Everything is chosen for you by a computer. One day somebody gets something sent to them that they definitely did not want, and they decide to return it back to Quality Land, which is, I think, basically Amazon. And the book then follows what happens when this utopian society that is perfectly generated for each individual is discovered to be not quite as perfect as it once seemed. I absolutely love dystopia, and I don't read a lot of it for some reason. I love the idea of a big corporation kind of being in control and sending you things like that. That just speaks to me. And so yeah, I really feel like this is going to be 5 stars. I think it's going to be a winner. So the next book on the list is FINA by Nino Cipri. Apologies if that is not pronounced correctly. And this is another sci-fi, although this is more multi-dimensional adventure. It's not a genre I typically read, but I have a thing for parodies, and I read a parody earlier this year called Horror. Camera just decided to turn off, and that's why I put the viewfinder back up. So I read Horror Store earlier this year, which is a horror parody set in IKEA, and this seems like it's a kind of like a funny like adventure story parody set in an IKEA store. Now in this book, I believe a customer, an elderly lady customer, slips through a portal into some multi-dimensional thing, and 2 of the store's employees have to go and get her back. They have to protect the customer at any means, and they go on this kind of epic adventure trying to find this old lady. And on the way, I believe they also fall in love, I guess, with each other. I don't know. I believe this book is also got queer rep in it, which I am always here for. So yeah, I'm really excited about this book. As I said, not something I typically read, but I think I'm going to enjoy it because of the humour. So 5-star prediction. So my next book is moving back into my comfort zone with YA fantasy. This book sounded like my kind of thing, and it's called Ink in the Blood, and it's by Kim Smejkal. I'm sorry for butchering that name. I will obviously have placed it somewhere for you to see. Apologies, Kim. I don't know how to pronounce your surname. So this is set in a magical world where there is this religion where you are tattooed, and the tattoos that you get depict what's going to happen in your life. And we follow 2 acolytes who are learning this tattoo magic, and they discover that actually these tattoos are controlling people's lives rather than being prophecies given to them by the gods. So they run away and they join this acting troupe and they use their magic to enhance these performances. But it turns out the gods are real and the gods are vengeful and the gods are coming for them. This just sounds up my alley. First of all, we've got dark magic. I mean, it's tattoo magic, not blood magic, but I think that's an interesting concept. We have manipulation of people. We have dark religion. We have gods. This is my kind of book, so I can't see myself giving this any less than 5 stars. I just can't see it happening. Our next book is kind of similar, and it's called All the Stars and Teeth, and it's by Adeline Grace. Again, this is a dark YA fantasy. So in this, we follow a mermaid princess. Yes, I love mermaids. I don't know why. Like, I really don't know why. Every time I look at a book with a mermaid in it, I'm like, I'm not gonna like that. And every time I love it. So, I don't know. But we have a mermaid princess. She has magic. So all the mermaids have magic and they get to kind of pick what magic they have. But the mermaid princess, because she's royalty, has to be a animator of souls. So she manipulates people's souls. But she does her demonstration and it goes wrong and she has to run away. So she strikes a deal with a pirate. So the prince agrees to help her regain her throne and she's going to help him find his stolen magic. But on their journey they encounter a dark magic which is starting to take over their kingdoms. So they, I believe, have to fight some monsters. That's another thing I love, monsters. So again, we've got that dark aspect to it. We've got mermaids, we've got monsters, and we've got manipulation. So I think this is going to be another 5-star read. So the next book is kind of outside of my comfort zone. Kind of exactly my comfort zone. But just the synopsis of this book just really, really speaks to me. And this book is called Or What You Will by Jo Walton, and Jo Walton is an award-winning author that I have never heard of before, so sorry. And Or What You Will is about an author, a 75-year-old author who has this one character in her mind that she has written in multiple different books. He's played different roles. He's been, I believe, like anything from a hero to a villain, but he is obviously her creation. He lives in her mind. Now, Sylvia's old. She is writing this young adult fantasy trilogy, which of course features this character. And the character is aware that Sylvia is old and their time together is going to be limited. And he believes that he has come up with a way for them to escape mortality. Now, I don't know how I am actually going to find this book, but based on that synopsis alone, that is so intriguing to me. I am someone who writes, or tries to write, and so the concept of character I think is super interesting. It just sounds so original, and I just love books that contain books that are about books and writings and stories. That's something that really intrigues me. I'm not sure what genre it falls into, but it's not a genre that's like my go-to. But something about this book is just so interesting to me that I think it could be a 5-star read. And the last book that I'm going to talk about is completely outside of my comfort zone, but again, the synopsis of this book just really, really spoke to me. And this is called Mexican Gothic. This book is set in 1950s Mexico, and it follows the story of a socialite who receives a letter from her cousin asking her to come and save her. Her cousin is currently living in this run-down mansion with her husband and his family, so I think his dad and his son are all living in this house. And once in the house, the socialite, I think her name is Nomi, begins to uncover dark family secrets. The house seems to have some kind of unnatural grip on her. Now I'm not really sure if this is fantasy or historical fiction, but it is posted as a Gothic book. I do English literature and I've read quite a lot of Gothic novels, and it is a genre that I adore. I love it. And again, it probably comes back to the fact that I'm really interested in really dark concepts in books. So although this is completely outside of my comfort zone, I have enjoyed 2 historical fiction books in the past 20 years, possibly. No, that's not right. 10 years. Let's say 10 years, because there was a time where when I loved Gothic, not Gothic, historical fiction. I enjoy books about family and family dynamics, and despite it being outside of my comfort zone, I think it could be 5 stars. So those are all of the books that I wanted to talk to you about today, and hopefully I'm still around later on in the year and you can come back and see how I actually found these books. Before I go, I just want to give one shout out, one honourable mention, and that is the rumoured ACOTAR book following Nesta and Cassian. Now, if this book is released in 2020, I will read it and I will tell you if I give this book 5 stars, because out of everything I've discussed, except for Night Country, that is a book that will 100% get 5 stars, because I freaking love Nesta and Cassian and I ship them so hard and I need them to kiss. Like, it's everything to me for Nesta and Cassian to get it on. So if that book comes out, it doesn't matter if it's trash. If I get some romance scenes between Nesta and Cassian, it's 5 stars. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like or subscribe. And if you are planning on reading any of these books, or you've heard about any of these books, or you have any comments about any of these books, then please let me know. And hopefully you will come back and see me in another video in the future. Bye!